All right, so I want to read you a little something from this book right here, The Power of Awareness, Neville Goddard. For those of you familiar, you know who I'm talking about. If you're not, you're going to become familiar with this style of writing and thought. Very interesting. This is chapter 14 in this book, and it's the effortless way, okay? The principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. This is something that I wanted to talk about and share on. I'm going to stop right there for a second, because oftentimes people think that change is going to take a long time. And while it might seem like that, actually change starts happening immediately, right? But we always think like, oh, that's going to take way too long. What, lose 30 pounds? Nah. Get into that school? That job? I got to go back to school now? That's going to take too much time. And the point here is, in the effortless way, it says, what is the path that's most like physics, most like nature, most like the ocean? The tide rolls in just because it does, because that's the next and most natural thing for it to do. So, in the same way, I'll read this again, the effortless way. The principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of a planet to the path of a pulse of light. So in physics, this is the principle that's moving everything, right? Like even the ocean. The effortless way. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. I'm going to say that again. Least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. So that's to say, what is the thing that'll take the least amount of energy and will also take the least amount of time to make a difference? And I think I just want to stop on that right now. Minimum energy, minimum time. So it's like, how can I get there fastest? By doing the least. I think oftentimes people see doing the least as like, ooh, you got to do more. You got to hustle it out. Keep grinding. But in this chapter, it says, instead of just grinding, moving, constantly like, making waves, and what is the one thing, and you can start with one thing, but what is the one thing, the first step, that'll take the least amount of action and you get the maximum results? Well, here's an example of that. For example, I want to start losing 20 pounds. How about the least amount of action, effort, and have some immediate results? Look, I just stood up and now I'm walking. I could walk and talk to you guys. I could do that. I could walk and talk. Why? Because now that is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. That took no time and very little energy. I just got up, and guess what? With every step that I take, I'm moving towards my goal, right? Every step that I take, I'm moving towards my goal. And it says here, again, least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time. Therefore, in moving from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. Your journey from one state of consciousness to another is a psychological one. So, to make the journey, you must employ the psychological equivalent of least action, and the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. All right, so let's get into this thought about assumption and the power of it. The day you fully realize the power of assumption. This is a theme that Neville talks about a lot, the power of assumption. And for those of you who are aware and familiar with it, you kind of know where this is going. For those of you who don't, well, you're in for a treat. The power of assumption. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. I'll say it again. It works by the means of attention minus effort. So the law of assumption, the power of assumption, works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. That's a powerful thought. I'm going to say that again. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. Because creation is finished. Whatever you desire already exists.